Hello and welcome to Match Play here on CUTV, the show where stars are born, and maybe you'll just see one of these contestants here today shine. To my right, Scott Majeski. To my left, Tyler Harris. I'm your host, Clint Logan. We'll get a little introduction. Scott, how are you doing here today?
Oh, Clint, it's beautiful outside. The sun is shining. Spring training is happening all around Florida and Arizona. Just another beautiful day in the Berg.
And Tyler?
I'm doing quite fine, Clint. I see you got a nice brand new polo there. It's kind of flashy there, buddy. I enjoy that.
A little bit just for the fans out there, but the focus isn't on me here today. It's on these guys, and we're going to start it out here. We're going to start with our Cal topics, and as usual, guys, we're starting basketball, and we talk women's basketball here recently. We're almost at the end of the season. The women have clinched their playoff spot, and the last game was senior day against Mercyhurst. And the question I'm going to pose to you guys, Stephanie Michael, the lone senior on the team, where does she rank, in your guys' opinion, in one of the best players for Cal all time? Where's she ranked, Tyler?
Well, obviously, from my standpoint, she's the best because I'm a freshman and I've only seen this year basketball. So for me, she's number one. But according to the top all-time scorers, I guess she's not even around that top rank. However, her three-point shooting is absolutely phenomenal. One of the best pull-back, jump-back three-point shooters you've ever seen, really. And it's her flow, her shot alone is quite unethical. It's really unorthodox. It's a different style of shot. But regardless, it works for her. All time, I think she definitely ranks up there. Definitely three-point shots made and attempted in her percentage also. So I would say she ranks up towards the top. I'd say top 5.
Now, Tyler, Kayla Smith, Brooke Williams, and Amy Johns, all players that Stephanie Michael has played alongside. I'm sure she'll tell you those three rank a lot higher than she ever does because Stephanie Michael is a pretty modest player. But I'll give her credit as being one of the best three-point shooters in California history. Only 800-plus points in her career, and she missed a good half of her junior season. But Stephanie Michael will go down as probably one of the better three-point shooters in California's history. Going into Saturday's game, a 38% three-point shooter. Very impressive work there for Stephanie Michael. I give her all the credit because, yeah, it's an unorthodox shot, but she's got a great double move leading to that three-pointer. So congrats to Morgantown Musket being one of the best three-point shooters in Cal's history.
And who do you think, real quick, is going to be able to pick up the slack in the three-point shooting next season?
Well, I think Chelsea McKnight is definitely going to be one to step up. Also, Rod Gatson, probably your other option there.
Chelsea McKnight, Ryan Gatson. Don't forget about Kate Seabaum. She's got a good three.
Seabaum will still be there. Unfortunately, Michael, her other half, as we usually see him practicing before the game, she won't. So we'll see how not having Michael on the floor will do for Seabaum next season, but we're still in this one. We'll focus there. Turn the page here. We're going to go men's basketball. And a senior that emerged over the last couple games, guys, Mitchell Whedon, the Matador. I don't know where this is coming from. He's been injury-plagued this season, but all of a sudden he's stepping up, and he's stepping up at the right time, Scott.
I'll tell you where it's coming from, Clint. He's had bike to 100% for the first time since his junior year, and that's great for this California team once playoffs come around. We're seeing the Mitchell Whedon of old, and if he continues this, if they get Gannon in the first round of the playoffs, that's a good matchup now with Mitchell Whedon back. You got Anthony Lytle also off the bench because Gannon's a shooting team, but if you get that down low presence, getting those rebounds, erasing those second chances, Cal's got a good chance against Gannon. But I like this. Me and you both like Mitchell Whedon. We liked him last year. This is great to see Mitchell Whedon back. Quentin Harding's in a groove right now. And Jake Jakubic and everybody else on that team looks like they're getting into a groove, which is good when you get down to playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Mitchell Whedon's return is definitely a bigger thing than you think it is, really. Having that presence, again, as you said, Scott, having that presence down low is big, and having a full, healthy player, as effective as he can be, come back, that boosts a lot of confidence on your team. And heading into the PSAC championships, that's exactly what you need if you're Cal's basketball team. Mitchell Whedon's that great down low presence. You said Quentin Harding. He's just hitting that groove right now, getting so many rebounds off the boards, playing the boards very well. He's an electrifying player, and we saw it in last Saturday's game. He was just making making the crowd really ignite, and as well as the team, really drive the team as well. Big win last Saturday also against Mercyhurst. But I think Mitchell Whedon's return after coming off that shoulder injury is a big one. It's probably going to really help generate a lot of offense and defense for those California Vulcans.
And you can't forget about Chris Williams, too, how great he's played this season. Chris Williams, probably the most underrated player on that team, and this season he's having has just been phenomenal for this team, both offensively and defensively.
It has been great for him, and he's worked his way in the starting lineup, so we'll see if that continues as they take on Clarion on Wednesday, and then PSAC tournament will start Saturday, so we'll keep tabs on that. Guys, we'll move to softball here. And we'll get to baseball shortly in the next couple episodes as they've just started off their season. But softball's in the swing of things, and this Cal softball team is 11-0. They've started out the season perfect, haven't dropped a game. My question to you guys is, when will they drop a game?
Well, that's a tough question, Clint. Alexander Sagel, the freshman pitcher, with a .89 ERA right now. That's just absolutely phenomenal. You don't see that in college softball ever. And against teams that are generally not as good as you think they are going down south, they play a lot of teams that aren't to their level, but nonetheless, they're still respectable teams. Whenever you start getting into the schedule, I don't think they're going to lose in this last tournament to Virginia. I think they got some easier opponents there who they have beat in the past. You start getting into the schedule there with Bloomsburg, Slippery Rock, Gannon, all teams that have given them problems in the past. Lock Haven also. Those are teams that they have lost at least one game in a doubleheader too. I would say Bloomsburg, though. Bloomsburg is a very good team. They are picked to win the PSAC Central Division. So I would say that's their first test and their first biggest rival. But other than that, this team is very phenomenal. I don't see them losing anytime soon.
Well, there's no PSAC Central Division there. It's East. That's Lock Haven, though, and we're all wanting Lock Haven to have their own.
Yes.
Hey, that's what the internet site said. Don't hate on me.
Oh, that's the internet site said.
Yeah.
Well, someone's got to correct that. But you know what? I'm going to go with they lose in their in the Salem Invitational just because it's a 2-week layoff between the games. You know, you lose the rhythm there. This team, you might overlook somebody, and it's an invitational tournament, so you just never know there. But I think that's where the Cal softball team will lose. I think once they play Bloomsburg, Tyler, they'll get ready to go, all systems roaring, because they know that's the favorites over there in the PSAC. And you know what? Once you get into PSAC play, you know every game's a big time. That's what I'm saying. They'll fall in the Salem Invitational, but it won't hurt them.
That's what I'm looking forward when they match up against Lock Haven. Always a good fight against them, and I love going up to Lilly Field watching those two teams compete. It was a good doubleheader last year when we were up there. So looking forward to that. But we moved to our last topic here in the Cal Topics. It's our fan topic. Still looking for fan topics, so send us your fan topics on Facebook. Watch previous episodes. Let us know who you think is the winner of the past episodes. But again, it falls on me, guys. And my question to you, resulting back here this past Saturday, the Daytona 500, the Nationwide Series, we saw the big wreck and how dangerous and how the fans were actually hurt in the wreck. You talk about how dangerous auto racing is, but there's a lot of dangers in a lot of sports. My question to you guys is, what sport has probably the most danger involved, not only in the people involved in the sport, but the fans as well, and maybe what they could do to maybe change the atmosphere of it, make it safer for the fans and players?
Medieval jousting is a very dangerous sport
It
because
is? To the fans?
Yeah, well, let me get to that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
First off, to the players, you're coming full speed on big old horses, sometimes Clydesdale, so you do it legitimately medieval jousting there. So they're coming with those wooden spears. Say those wooden spears break and those splinters go flying in the stands. You guys got to pick up Game of Thrones. It's a great show on HBO, and they do jousting on there. And yes, the audience does get hurt in Game of Thrones. So check it out. But yes, medieval jousting is dangerous because you got those wooden splinters. Yes, you can get them right in your neck. And that's the jugular, man. That's where all the blood's going to come out. I'm telling you, medieval jousting, awful sport, but also awesome to watch.
I don't even know how to follow that up. I don't know what to say.
I wouldn't either.
But I'll try my best. Auto racing is a very dangerous sport, and what happened on Saturday was nonetheless a tragedy. Something that's a freak accident that you don't see happen very often. Back to 2000, Jeff Badine's truck accident was about the closest thing that happened to that. He went up into the fence just as much, except his engine didn't go into the stands. Neither did a full-size tire go into the stands. You see a video on YouTube of a fan perspective view, and there's a tire landing right next to the person. 33 people injured in that. I hope everyone is okay, and we'll hopefully get better soon. But nonetheless, they say basketball is the highest injury-prone sport that there is. But if I had to pick one, rugby is also just as dangerous. Auto racing, I don't know. It can happen, but it's hard to say when or if it'll happen.
No love for medieval jousting, there, Tom?
I just can't follow it up like you did. That was pretty impressive.
I tell you guys, though, get on Game of Thrones. It's a great show. Season 3 starting up soon.
Well, Tyler touched your heart with his message. Scott basically jousted it. And we'll see if maybe Scott tries to joust Tyler off his horse in the next segment. Regionals coming up next here on Match Play.
We want you to feel the beat right here. We want to sound so clear. We want you to feel the beat right here. Raise your hands and everybody
Welcome back to Match Play here on CUTV. Cal Topics finished regional ready right here. But before we get to that, I'm going to give Tyler here his little moment in the sun because he was correct in the last segment in which Scott tried to correct him.
Thank you. I like that acknowledgement.
About
Conspiracy.
Being correct about the PSAC Central being an actual division. I'll take credit.
Scott thinks it's a conspiracy, but
all the
he
government.
thinks everything is, and he's a medieval
That's
jouster,
true.
so we'll see what goes on. Let's start with our first one here in the regional topics. We talk of Evgeny Malkin, guys. Concussion, it's been reported. We weren't sure coming in today. It was reported late last night, and you got to wonder now, Sidney Crosby with all of his concussion problems, is Evgeny Malkin about to go through the same thing? And if so, how long could he be out, and how big of a hurt is it to this Penguins organization? Scott, I'll start with you.
Well, it's not that big of a hurt because you do have another superstar with Sidney Crosby. You've got a lot of great role players, pieces that can fit in. You see how well the team did the past couple of years with Crosby out. But now that being said, you're losing the MVP from last season. You're losing one of the top players in the world, and it sucks to be that. But let's see how he goes through this because he came back from his torn ACL and MCL injuries and really came off firing. The concussions can go either way. Marian Hossa took a big shot earlier this season, but he bounced back and he seems to be fine. It's going to be tough to see. Evgeny took a heck of a hit into the boards, and it's not a pretty hit, and it's not something you, as a Penguins fan, are going to be too happy about. I'm a little nervous, Tyler, but I still think this team's going to be fine. And if he can rest and get ready for playoffs, that's really all that matters.
Yeah, Scott, you're right about that. There's no doubt about how hard the concussion was and how hard, if you take a look at the video, the whiplash
Awful
is
hit.
absolutely just terrifying to watch. It's unsaid about how long his concussion is really going to last. It could last a matter of a week, or it could last a matter of a few months, or even longer than that, depending on how severe it is. I don't think it's going to be as bad as Sidney Crosby's concussion, because Crosby's 2 hits that gave him those back-to-back concussions were a lot worse than Malkin's whiplash, I think. Whiplash is something that you can recover from very quickly. So there was actually an interesting statistic as well on TV. With Malkin, they are 65% win percentage, and without him, they're 58%. So it is a big loss, but it's not a detrimental one. I think we're going to be okay, but always losing an MVP isn't what you want to do.
As you saw, they easily, well, not easily, but they did defeat the Lightning in the last one without him. So you got to wonder if maybe they are going to be okay without him. They do have Crosby leading the way, as you guys mentioned. So we'll see how that progresses. Hopefully he can get back on the ice soon. We transition, guys. We go baseball. We're in spring training, and the Pirates make another move. They're bringing in Jose Contreras, invite him out to spring training. The guy's 41 years old. He started in 2003, not a whole long career, but he's 41 years old. We saw with Jamie Moyer, can Contreras really do anything for this Pirates organization?
I really don't think so, Clint. He is 41 years old, so at that point you're kind of getting to be past your prime. Also, he's recovering from an elbow surgery he had in the postseason of last season. So that's another deciding factor there. He's only signed to a minor league deal, which is what I like about that deal. He is only signed to the minor leagues. So that definitely gives us some room to move around with him. So if he doesn't produce for us, we can always just keep him there and cut him. But if he does produce, we can bring him up and invite him to our starting 5 if he is really that good. I like the deal in the fact that it is a minor league signing, but I don't like the deal because he is 41 years old, coming off of an elbow surgery, and I honestly think he might be past his prime. So I don't like the deal as far as how the player goes, but I like how they signed him.
I'm indifferent towards this deal because it's a low risk and it could be a high reward because you're getting the minor league. That's the same thing with Brandon Inge, Jonathan Sanchez. You're getting these low-risk signings, and you're hoping for a possible high reward. And if you don't get that high reward, then, oh, well, they're on your minor league team. You cut them and you call somebody up from AA that's doing well. These are smart moves they're making. You're getting veterans into this. 41-year-old, yeah, you look at it, it's not that smart. But, you know, you get the lower risk. You get the low risk. Their only big-time signing that could be a high risk is Russell Martin. The Pirates have done this offseason. So I like what they're doing, these low risks here. And, hey, if he can do well in the minor leagues, call him up and he can be a setup guy to possible Watson and Hughes in the 8th.
They could definitely use the help in the bullpen after losing
Yes.
Joel Hanrahan, but Grilly steps up. We'll see how he is in a closer role. But he's looked good so far in spring training in the past 2 days, and Pirates have won their first 2 games, so we'll keep tabs on that as well. We'll see if Contreras possibly can get up there into the rotation at all. We'll transition. Pit Hoops, guys, they're still ranked. I believe it's 25. And
so too.
getting ready towards the end of the season here, we're almost into March Madness. We're going to have some fun with that, I know. But before we get there, before the Panthers get there, it's a Big East tournament. And this could be one of the biggest Big East tournaments for a lot of teams just because it may be their last year. So the question is, does Pitt stand a chance here in the Big East tournament? And what teams can possibly come out? Who do you think is going to win the Big East tournament? I'll start with you, Scott.
Well, you know, in the Big East tournament, it can go either way, especially in any conference tournament. Georgia in like 2009 was able to go from a low seed and run all the way up and win the SEC tournament, but that's the SEC. They're not big on basketball. Penn State a couple years ago went from a low seed and went up to runners-up in the Big Ten tournament. And in the Big East, UConn, who was an underrated team, won the Big East tournament. So you never know. Pitt, it's all about who has the momentum, who gets the smart wins, and who plays the best basketball out there on the floor. And the tournaments are designed for teams to gain momentum. So when the big dance comes up, you have that momentum, and you get that higher seed, so you can roll through the big dance.
Yeah, the Big East is probably the more unpredictable any of the divisional conference tournaments. Definitely the most unpredictable, I think.
Yeah.
Pitt stands actually at number 23 now with a game against St. John's coming up. They have a relatively easy schedule left coming up, but the past is what kind of concerns me. Losing to Notre Dame and Marquette, and they weren't close losses either. There was 9 points to Notre Dame and it was 10 points to Marquette. Granted, they were both ranked teams. Regardless, that's not something that you want to see, but they also did beat Syracuse, and they have beat those higher teams like Louisville as well. So you get into that sense, they're a consistent team, but not as consistent as I would like to see them. They have a chance to really run tables in the Big East tournament, and I think they will. But as far as carrying that momentum into the NCAA tournament, it's going to be really hard to tell because it's very unpredictable with as many upsets as there have been this year.
Yeah, there's been some big wins, but there's been some tough losses for this Panthers team, and I think Trayvon Woodall's really got to step up and lead the way in every game, which is tough for some players sometimes, but really he's the Pitt's main hope. Yeah. So we'll see how they can progress into that. We'll move on, guys. Our last topic here, NFL Combine. We talked a little about this last Monday in terms of the players involved from the local area. And we've seen some of these players in action already with the Combine being a 4-day event, currently in its 3rd day. Rontez Miles doesn't perform until tomorrow with the safeties and the defensive backs. But what's impressed you so far, guys, from the Combine, from the local players' perspective, and possibly just in terms of the whole, and what do you expect from Rontez Miles?
I think Rontez is going to perform pretty well. So far, from what I've been told and from what I've heard through the grapevine, I haven't had a chance to talk to him personally, but from what I've heard, he's done pretty well against those other D1 prospects, at least from his standpoint, as well as the training combine that has been helping him get ready and get in shape. So he has a good chance, and it can only help his draft seed, honestly. Right now, as you said, Clint, he's in the 7th or 8th round. Regardless, he can always move up. But with D2 players, they can always get bumped into the undrafted free agent list, and then get picked up that way. So it's really hard to tell how he'll do in that perspective. But as far as the Combine goes, he's doing really well. Ray Graham's another person I've been following. He's been doing phenomenal in the Combine, really doing well. But did you guys see that lineman? He's running a 4.440. He's over 300 pounds. That's phenomenal. Athleticism is becoming so much bigger in college sports.
Yeah, you want to show off your talents just like that lineman did. And, that Goodwin player for, I think, Texas with that 4.2740, that's impressive. Yeah. Almost close to Chris Johnson, who was 4.24, which that's 0.03 off. So, it's close. Real impressive. But, for the local players, especially Rontez Miles, I think he's got the size to compete with these D1 players at the Combine. And, I think he'll get himself a draft spot. I really do. I think he'll be a 6th-round pick, possible 7th. But I really like Rontez Miles. I think he's got the size to play safety. And I think, NFL teams, they'll love him on a special teams role.
What do you guys think? Rontez Miles, 40 speed.
I'm going to say 4.4.
4.4.
4.7.
4.7. All right. Well, we've seen the speed on the field, so we'll see how it translates at the NFL Combine. That's going to be tomorrow when Rontez Miles performs, so make sure you tune into NFL, what is it?
NFL Network, I guess.
Is, yes. Where it's
we don't get that out here on our
We don't. Some people do, so if you do, check it out. Rontez will be representing California University of Pennsylvania, so good luck to him out there, and good luck to these two contestants to my left and right. They got one segment left to go. We're on the home stretch. It's the National Topics coming up next here on Match Play.
CUTV is always on the air online. Like us on Facebook for upcoming events and status updates. Follow us on Twitter at CUTV_PA for behind-the-scenes exclusives. For streaming news and sports coverage, subscribe to our YouTube channels. CUTV social media. It's always online.
Welcome back here to Match Play on CUTV. Getting ready to go into our national topics here for this segment. And let's just jump right in because I know this guy to my left is going to be really excited about this first topic. It's auto racing. It's NASCAR. And we're talking Daytona 500. And the race just finishing off yesterday. Jimmie Johnson gets the checker. There was a lot of headlines coming into this week, though. You had Danica Patrick winning the pole. Well, before I take everything away, I'll let you just start. But what are your reactions to the race this past Sunday?
Well, if you're talking about Danica, she performed very well all race week and all speed week also. Qualifying on the pole, getting the first ever woman driver to ever lead a NASCAR race. That's absolutely an astonishing feat that she accomplished. She finished 8th, but she was running in the top 10 practically all day, only falling as low as 24th, but picking herself back up. She was racing a Hendrick motor, so those Hendrick cars are really on fire on that racetrack. The race itself, though, I don't think it was really that entertaining to all audiences. It was more like a follow the leader type of race. Not a lot of lanes opening up there on the bottom. It was basically all high line. But Danica had a chance to win on that last lap, but she chose not to. Dale Earnhardt Jr., rather, pulled off instead. I actually had Jimmie Johnson in one of my fantasy picks, so I'm a happy guy on that one.
You know, Danica does deserve a lot of credit for what she did and being the first woman all those records set. But I'm going to give love to Jimmie Johnson, one of the best drivers in my lifetime I've ever been able to see, and that's only 23 years. I was able to witness Dale Earnhardt, and I wish I could witness the King at his prime racing back in the day. But, you know, Jimmie Johnson has just been one of the best racers of all time. What did he have that streak of 6? Cup 5 in a row, but he almost had 6.
Yep.
What a great racer for Jimmie Johnson, and way to start it off on the Daytona 500. I missed this race because we were down in West Virginia playing disc golf.
Yeah.
So, but bummer.
I caught the end of it, but Jimmie Johnson wins his second Daytona, and I heard some rumors thrown around, not rumors, but some comparisons being made that Jimmie Johnson's the Michael Jordan of auto racing. Do you agree?
Richard Petty still is.
Richard Petty?
I'll agree with Richard Petty, but Jimmie Johnson's making his way there.
Oh, he's got time.
He's got the accolades, so we'll see. Maybe that could become more realistic, but I could possibly see it. Let's move on. NCAA men's basketball, and guys, this has got to be the biggest year for upsets, and it's been constant. You haven't had a team just sitting at one. Indiana's held it the longest, I believe, but these top teams are losing, and we just saw the most recent, Miami, falling to Wake Forest. So my question to you is, we're almost getting ready to go into tournament time. What team has the best chance of not getting upset going into this season? Scott, I'll throw it to you.
Into the dance?
Into the dance.
You know what? Because of all the upsets in this regular season, I'm going to make a bold prediction that no one really gets upset in the dance because, you know, we're all expecting a bunch of upsets, and that's what everyone's going to be predicting in the brackets and everything. You know, everyone getting knocked out. I'll say maybe a 2 seed and 3-1 seeds in the Final Four, but I don't think we're going to see that many upsets in the dance. With that being said, though, I love the Indiana Hoosiers. I think the Indiana Hoosiers, they're back. Indiana is back. That is the state of basketball. Indiana is back, and I think they're going to make a run in this dance.
Indiana is probably my most consistent team if I had to pick one. Right next to them is Duke. Duke has lost to a few teams that aren't really that respectable at that level, but nonetheless, they are very consistent, and they are a very talented team with Mason Plumlee. It's really hard to pick who's going to be the least likely to be upset. If I had to pick one, though, I would have to say Indiana, but 1 seeds are prone to falling in the dance. So if Duke gets that 2 seed, I think it takes a lot of pressure off them. But they did lose to a 15 seed in years past, so that's hard to pick. It's really hard to pick this year. But if I had to pick one, I would have to say Indiana.
No love for Gonzaga from either of you? You don't think they can make a run? They're going to be a 1 seed, it looks.
No, but how about Kentucky might not make the tournament this year? That's a big news.
Yeah.
They're on the bubble.
On the bubble.
We'll see if Calipari and his gang can make it in there, but losing their top player there,
Noah.
doesn't help. So we'll see if they can find their way into the tournament. It'd be difficult, or it'd be weird not seeing them after winning the title last year. Let's move on. NBA guys, the resurgent Lakers is what I want to call them right now. You come out of the All-Star break, and now they're just on fire because Kobe's still assisting. Now he's putting up 38-point, 40-point games at his age, which is kind of right up there with Michael Jordan. But are these Lakers going to make a run here at this title? It looks like they're coming out of the West with some firepower. We'll start you.
Yeah, I mean, the Lakers are definitely improving a lot. And it's just obvious through how they've done it throughout the schedule. Right now, the only thing that's really the big factor for them is their ability not to beat those big teams like the Heat, like the Clippers. And the Clippers are a big factor in their division, as well as the Spurs. The Spurs are absolutely on fire, arguably the best team in the NBA currently. As I said, Clint, you're shaking your head, but that's a arguably.
Yeah.
Regardless,
I'll make the argument.
Regardless, Pau Gasol is finding his spot in the team now. Kobe assisting and throwing around. Also, Nash doing a fantastic job,
that word.
rather.
That's fantastic.
He's doing a good job. These
Sure,
Lakers can
fantabulous.
become a threat later on in the season. I think they will.
I will agree that the Spurs are the best team in the Western Conference. I love the San Antonio Spurs because Greg Popovich is a great coach. They play team basketball. And you know why no one really talks about the Spurs? Is because they're just humble and they just play the game as it's supposed to be played, and they're not all dramatic like Kobe Bryant and all those other people. But that being said, I knew the Lakers would get on fire. It had to happen. They just needed to get that groove like they needed to. And, you know, you got Steve Nash, Kobe Bryant, Dwight Howard might be under control for now. I say that for now with a pause because he will get out of control because he is Dwight Howard, and he wants all the drama on him. But I will say that the Spurs are the best team in the Western Conference, followed by the Oklahoma City Thunder, then the Clippers, and then finally your LA Lakers.
You know, we'll see if they can jump in there. We'll also let you know when the date's going to be set for when Scott marries the Spurs because he's in love with them so much.
will.
And Pau Gasol actually might be out for the entire season, so he's still been out. So just a little one there thrown at you. Go on to our last topic here. It's the belly putter. PGA Tour, is it good or bad for golf right now for players to be using the belly putter? And this has been a controversy, and they're still talking it over right now. But what do you think, Scott?
Well, golf's 90% mental. So it's all up in here. I don't care what kind of equipment you have down there. If you're not right up in here, you're not going to make a putt. So that's the problem right there. But you know, I don't mind it. They've used it. It's fine. I don't really have a problem with it. I'd like to use one too, to be honest with you.
It wouldn't help your game.
It wouldn't help my game. Oh my God, I can't drive. I can't hit it straight for
Yeah.
more than maybe 10 yards. Awful golfer. But disc golf now too. I'm in a funk.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I don't care. Golf's mental. That's all it is.
Well, if I had to pick, I would say it used to be anchored. The belly butters used to be anchored, and they actually released a rule to disallow that, which I am in full support of. You're not allowed to anchor to your body. I think that's an unfair advantage because then you're getting your whole body moving into it. You're getting a more consistent shot at it. But if you can learn it, I don't have a problem with that. Whenever it comes to being anchored, not anchored in two hands, I'm okay with that. It's basically just learning how to putt on your own. And it's basically, it's basically like basketball. It's almost like regulating your shot in basketball. You can't do a from the chest shot. You have to do a from above the head shot. However you want to shoot is fine, and however you want to putt is fine. I don't see anything against it. As far as it being an advantage and a disadvantage, I'd say it's actually a disadvantage because there's a lot more people who don't do it, and it's more untypical. So I would say it's definitely an advantage if you're a belly putter because, there's only a select few of you. And if you want to learn it that way, hats off to you. Go for it.
Would it help your game?
Not at all. I'm terrible at golf.
Wouldn't help me either, so.
What's your opinion on the belly putter? Because you are a golfer too, and you got the golfing polo on.
It wouldn't be bad, but like I said, wouldn't help me. But we're out of time here, unfortunately. We could talk about this for days, probably. Not days, but probably a couple more minutes. But it's up to you to pick the winner between these two. Tyler Harris, Scott Majeski. Log on, facebook.com/CUTV. Pick your winner here. You can let them know what they can improve on. Tell them if they made a mistake, too, because I'm sure they did. I pointed out a couple. Yeah, usually him. But pick your winner here. Two great contestants and
a great host.
And oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it.
He's
But
lovely.
that's going to do it for us here on Match Play here on CUTV. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you tune in again next time.